My name is Ethan, and this happened in the fall of 2022. I still don't know what came to my house that night. I don't expect anyone to believe me. If I had heard this story from someone else, I probably wouldn't have believed it either. But every time it rains after midnight, I remember those knocks. I had recently inherited my grandfather's old cabin deep in the woods of northern Pennsylvania. The cabin was isolated, surrounded by tall pine trees that blocked most of the sunlight even during the day. The nearest town was nearly 40 minutes away, and there was almost no phone signal. People in town always asked why I wanted to live there. I laughed and said I liked the peace and quiet. Now I know they weren't asking because of the location, they were warning me. The storm arrived just after sunset. Dark clouds swallowed the sky, and within minutes the rain came down so hard that I could barely see the trees outside the windows. Thunder shook the cabin, making the old wooden walls creak with every strike. Around 10 o'clock, the electricity failed. The lights disappeared, leaving me alone with a flashlight and a few candles. The silence between the thunderclaps felt unnatural. It was as if the forest itself was holding its breath. I tried reading a book to distract myself, but I couldn't focus. Something felt wrong. At exactly 12:17 a.m., 3 loud knocks echoed through the cabin. Knock, knock, knock. I looked toward the front door. Maybe a traveler needed help. Maybe someone's car had broken down. I walked carefully to the door and looked through the peephole. Nothing. The porch was empty. The porch was empty. Rain poured from the roof, but there wasn't a single person outside. I unlocked the door anyway and stepped onto the porch. Cold rain soaked my clothes instantly. I shined my flashlight across the yard. Nothing. Only trees moving in the wind. Feeling embarrassed, I closed the door and locked it again. 30 seconds later, 3 more knocks. This time they came from the back door. I felt my stomach tighten. Nobody could have walked around the cabin that quickly. I slowly made my way to the kitchen. When I reached the back door, I noticed something strange. Mud. Fresh mud covered the wooden steps outside. I opened the door just enough to shine my flashlight outside. There were footprints, large footprints. They led from the forest directly to my back door, but there were no footprints leading away. Whatever had walked there had simply stopped. Lightning exploded across the sky. For just a second, I thought I saw someone standing between the trees, a tall silhouette, completely still. The darkness returned before I could focus. I slammed the door shut. Then I heard something impossible, a whisper. "Ethan." It came from outside the window, soft, calm, like someone standing inches away from the glass. Every hair on my arm stood up. Nobody should have known I was there. I turned off my flashlight and stood perfectly still. The whisper came again. "Ethan." This time it sounded closer, almost inside the room. Then, the hallway floor creaked. My cabin was old. I knew every sound it made, but this wasn't the sound of settling wood. These were footsteps, slow, heavy, wet. Something was walking inside my house. I grabbed the fireplace poker and pointed my flashlight toward the hallway. Nothing. The hallway was empty, but the wooden floor was wet. Fresh water dripped across the boards as though someone had just walked through carrying the storm with them. I slowly followed the trail. Each step echoed through the cabin. The trail stopped outside my grandfather's old bedroom. The door was closed. It had been closed all evening. I reached for the handle. Before I touched it, someone knocked from the other side. 3 slow knocks. I stumbled backward. Nobody was inside. I had checked that room earlier. The knocking came again. Knock, knock, knock. I forced the door open. The room was empty. The bed was untouched. The windows were locked. But in the dusty mirror across the room, words slowly appeared as water ran down the glass. "Don't look behind you." I froze. Every instinct screamed at me not to turn around. Then I heard breathing. Slow, deep, right behind my shoulder. Against every instinct, I spun around. Nothing. The room was empty. When I looked back at the mirror, the message had disappeared. Then my flashlight died. Complete darkness swallowed the room. I heard footsteps circling me, not walking, pacing, like something deciding whether I should live. I ran. I burst into the living room and grabbed my car keys. The front door refused to open. The handle wouldn't move. I pulled harder. Nothing. Behind me came another whisper. "Stay!" The voice sounded almost human. Almost. I threw my shoulder against the door. It finally burst open. Rain exploded into the cabin as I stumbled outside. I sprinted toward my truck. The engine wouldn't start. Again. Then lightning flashed. Someone stood beside the driver's window. Tall, soaked. Its face was completely white. Its eyes were black. No mouth. Just smooth skin where a face should have been. Another flash. It was gone. The truck finally started. I slammed it into reverse and sped down the muddy road. In the rearview mirror, I saw someone standing in the middle of the road behind the cabin, watching, never moving. I drove straight to the sheriff's office. They returned with me at sunrise. Every door was locked. Every window was shut. No signs of forced entry. The sheriff smiled politely. Probably just nerves. Then one of the deputies called us into the hallway. There were muddy footprints leading from the front door to my bedroom. Only one set. The footprints stopped beside my bed. There were no footprints leaving the room. The sheriff stopped smiling. Before leaving, an elderly deputy quietly asked if I had heard knocking. I stared at him. He nodded before I answered. "My father investigated this cabin 30 years ago," he said. "The family living here disappeared during a storm. The neighbors all reported hearing 3 knocks just before midnight. He refused to say anything else. I sold the cabin a month later. The new owner stayed there for only 6 days before abandoning it. He never explained why. Today I live hundreds of miles away, yet every year when the first autumn storm arrives, my phone rings at exactly 12:17 a.m. There is never a number. When I answer, I hear only rain. Then, 3 slow knocks. Knock, knock, knock.